Okay, we're back. I want to remind you that this is supposed to be an interactive process. And so if you have questions, please feel free to write them in the question box because we'll be taking questions at the end of this. There were a couple of questions that were asked earlier that I'd just like to answer before in case they have to leave. Linda asked whether or not both, or how optimized is the code for both themes to load quickly. And in my testing, they are essentially the same. That is, the site that I use for testing this, has essentially the same setup, same number of plugins, all the rest of that kind of stuff. There is, a very slight difference in the number of HTTP requests between Genesis and Thesis, but in terms of its overall score and in terms of its overall speed, neither of them are. You're not going to use that as a determination between the two. They're both very efficient, very fast themes. So that's not really going to be a factor in the decision-making process here. Alan asks whether or not Thesis works with the popular revolutionary slider, and I presume what you mean is the slider revolution that you can find on Code Canyon. And yes, Thesis works just fine with slider revolution. In fact, Slider Revolution even has a Thesis box that can be used to add it to the skin, although it's got shortcodes and widgets and all the rest of that kind of stuff. So there's plenty of ways to add Slider Revolution to it, and I've used Slider Revolution several times. So there's nothing. So Slider Revolution works just fine with Thesis. Okay, so that concludes my presentation, and now I'm going to start taking questions. Dan Coggins asked me if I would do a seminar sometime comparing the different Thesis skins, and the answer to that is yes. I will do that. I'm going to wait until Rich Barrett comes out with his DNA skin, and then I'm going to do a skin roundup of the DIY theme skins, Rich's skin, Puneet skins. It's probably going to be kind of a longer seminar, but some of the themedy skins and then my skins, so that you get a sort of a sense of the broad brush stroke or a broad brush stroke of what's really available and out there and what its built-in functionality is. But it's probably not going to happen for another month or so. Nancy asked, do I think that Cobalt Dynamics website builder was well built and good for creating Genesis child theme? I don't have an opinion at the moment about whether or not it's well built, but it certainly is an appropriate tool for the job for customizing a Genesis child theme. Now, I have not used it for creating a Genesis child theme and haven't evaluated it that way yet. So I don't know the answer to that question yet, although because so many people have asked me to teach a course on it, I'm planning on pursuing dynamic in its more complete feature set, and using it that way. However, it certainly is an appropriate choice if you're using a child theme, and if you're a member of my site and you're going through my customized Genesis Like a Pro class, then at this point I wouldn't bother with it because you can do everything that I'm teaching using the child theme editor plugin that is available here on the site. So, but it is without question, Nancy, it is a significant contribution to the feature set of Genesis, and is a good thing for you to consider if you are looking to do that. Craig asks. Let's see. Actually, Craig, I'm just going to unmute your microphone, if you don't mind. Where'd you go here, Craig? Good afternoon, Craig. I just unmuted your microphone. You with me?
I think so. Can you hear me?
I can, yes. Perfect.
Okay, well, so I've done stuff off and on, but I know what you mean by doing a WordPress site and then messing around with the code, and then they upgrade it and stuff goes away. So um, I know what you mean by that, but I was introduced to Thesis basically by WordPress Academy and to you, and I joined your program. But I have a question because I've got a friend who wants me to build him a website, and I'm not going to customize it a whole lot. I just want to go ahead and do it, and I thought I'd just use WordPress and Genesis, but I have an idea for my own website, and I'm thinking Thesis is the way to go because I really do want to customize it, and I'll kind of stay in it. But the problem is if I eventually get going where I get too busy to stay with it, I'm worried about keeping it up. So I guess the question is, should I stick with Genesis and the easier way, or create this one site for my buddy in Genesis and then do my own in Thesis. So it's kind of a mixed bag.
Well, I mean, I think that's what I would do. I mean, if your buddy's got a child theme that he likes or almost likes, by all means, because it's going to be very quick for you to set it up. But
Okay.
but for your own site, if you know you want a bunch of customization, you may as well just learn a little bit more about Thesis 2.1 and do it there. The the promise is that when 2.2 comes out, it's not going to significantly undermine things that have been done in 2.1. So you won't have to worry about that upgrade process. And if you're using one of my skins for development, then my skins don't. Even when my skins upgrade, they don't change anything that you've done, and so they may add functionality to the code to your skin or to your site, but they're not going to change the stuff you've already made. So you don't really have to worry about that.
Okay, Rick, thanks very much. I appreciate your insight and providing these webinars and the knowledge you have.
You bet. It's my pleasure. Have a good day. Let's see. Okay, let's see. So where'd you go, Lewis? Lewis is next. Go ahead, Lewis. I just unmuted your microphone.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Staying warm here in New York. It is. It is a tough winter, I tell you.
I'm sorry about that. It's in the mid 70s here,
Oh my God.
but
You had to
blowing
rub
like
it in,
crazy,
didn't
so
you?
I can't be outside. But
Yeah. 70s is a blessing.
it is indeed.
Um, so yeah, I thought you was just gonna read my question because I pretty much wrote the question on the
Let's
thing.
see.
But since you
So
have me on
the
the mic,
the Inspire theme from Genesis. Um, I don't know if that includes it or not. Let's see. I know that Inspire is written by one of the, I don't know, one of the big guys in the business, right? Has a very has tons of experience in Genesis, and he is a very active member of the Genesis community. And I think Inspire has a bunch of extra media stuff in it. But let's look at the pricing. Well, okay, so $129.95 does include both, yes.
so is there a way to get the theme without the Genesis framework, and will it be cheaper if with that option? Because it just seems like they just give you the option to buy both for
Well,
that price.
well, it would require Genesis, but if you already have the Genesis framework, you should be able to buy the theme. You should just
In
be able to buy the child theme and not the framework if you already
Yeah,
have it.
that's what I'm considering or entertaining, but I don't know if there will be a difference in the price as well.
Oh
So
no, I'm pretty sure there's a difference in the price. Let's see, what's it gonna? What if I wanted to? Once I'm logged in, That's a community theme, so I don't have access to it myself. So if I wanted to buy it, how much would it be for me? Let's see, Inspire is some dice down here. See, I think if you're not logged into your account, yeah, so $56.21 is what it would cost me to buy it.
So there's a difference. Yeah,
right.
Already.
Okay.
Alrighty. Thanks again.
You bet.
I as the last person, your contribution is great. I mean, seriously, I've searched and searched, and the internet can be so saturated that it's hard to find reliable, integrous resources. And I just want to again just say that your contribution, I love how you put things in perspective. It makes our decisions a whole lot easier and smoother. So thank you for that.
Yeah, well, it's my pleasure. You have a good afternoon and stay warm.
All right. Enjoy your 70s, man.
I will. Bye-bye. Okay, let's see. D. Gorman asks, is there a clear-cut better option for e-commerce between the two? Well, for WooCommerce, it's going to be pretty much the same. And for MarketPress, I think Thesis is going to be a better choice than Genesis. For WPE Store, it's not going to matter. Shop doesn't work out of the box with either of them. Cart 66 is well, Cart 66 is hardly a good choice, but I think Cart 66 probably works similarly in both of them. So no, I don't believe there is a clear-cut option for e-commerce between the two. There may be, you may decide that you've got some favorite e-commerce platform that doesn't work with Thesis that might work with Genesis. That may be the case, but it just depends entirely on really on which one it is you're talking about. So anyway, there's not a clear choice, no. Let's see. Craig says, I didn't mention Nina Cross. Well, okay. I think Nina's only skin is the promo skin. So I didn't mention Nina Cross. Does she sell other skins as well? No. I think Nina only sells the promo skin. So I think that so there's nothing really to say about whether or not she's a good source of skins beyond she obviously is because she's in the Thesis catalog, right? So I don't mean I didn't mean any disrespect by not mentioning her because her skin is actually there. Amy asks, is the Genesis Extender Premium plugin, is it similar to my plugin? No, it's not really similar. No, it's not similar at all. My plugin is designed specifically for you to write code in. And Genesis Extender plugin is designed primarily not to write code, but to automatically generate code in terms of PHP or to, set up options in CSS. So functionally they provide sort of a similar kind of thing, but they don't work in the same way. I will do, you can see what mine does by watching the introduction to HTML for Genesis users, because I go through the sort of basic use of my plugin there. But I'm going to do a seminar on dynamics so you can see the clear difference. But but they aren't the same. Jamie says a WP directory theme category seems to be a common void for both Genesis and Thesis. Let's see. Do I have an opinion on a WP directory theme? Jamie, I do not. WP directory, the WordPress repository, theme repository, will not allow a Genesis child theme in it, because it will only take child themes for themes that are already in the directory. And because Genesis is a premium theme, there are no it is not in the Genesis itself, is not in the directory, and therefore neither can there be any child themes. So that's why there aren't any child themes for Thesis or Genesis in the directory. Now, I do not have an opinion about a choice. I actually don't believe in the free model of themes. I don't believe that good theme development can happen free, and I don't think good theme support can happen free, which is why I don't teach any free themes. And there are plenty of other people out there that, if they're going to teach, that will be happy to give you advice about free stuff. But I don't think that in something as complicated and as powerful as a theme, I don't believe that that a business model based on free is sustainable. So it's just like, there are plenty of plugins that somebody can sit down and write for 10 hours and post it, and then not have to worry about maintaining it because it's easy. But themes generally are not like that, and especially powerful themes like we were talking about here, Genesis and Thesis. Powerful themes are seldom, they just require a lot of work. They require a lot of work. There's no, I think, free model for them, and at least that I think is sustainable. And so I just don't think it makes any sense to seriously consider them. For me, for my clientele, right? My client base is small business owners who are looking to build a small business website. And for those people, free is not particularly high on their priority list. Fast, good, easy, those are high on the list, but free is not. So, which one do I personally prefer? Well, I think it's going to have to say Thesis. I personally prefer Thesis because it is so powerful. I like working in Thesis, but my personal preference in this regard shouldn't be indicative for my clients or for my members, because my personal preference takes into account my personal set of circumstances and situation, and I think the decision-making process needs to be one that's more focused on your specific situation. So yes, I do prefer Thesis, and I've worked more in Thesis, and I have lots more stuff for Thesis, but I think that Genesis is the right choice in many contexts, and I want people to be able to make the right choice for them, because especially for beginners who, I want you to get your website up and built. I want it to be there working effectively for you, and I don't want you to spend all your time messing around with design when you're not going to be a designer, you don't intend to be a designer, and what you really want to do is sell real estate or sell insurance or practice acupuncture or practice architecture or any of those other professional things that most of my members do. So, Jamie, I'm just going to unmute your microphone here because I'm not following your question here. Go ahead, Jamie. I just unmuted your microphone. Oh, you said no mic. Directory theme, meaning a theme that is a... Oh, I'm sorry. A WP directory theme. So, in other words, what you're saying is I didn't answer the question you asked. Okay. A directory theme. Okay. If you wanted a recommendation for a directory theme, I would probably go take a look at WPMU Dev. Let's see what they have to say. Now, WPMU is also an organization that I like a lot, and that I've been an elite member of for quite some time. And let's see. So themes and directory. I don't really teach their themes, primarily because they do a pretty good job of teaching their themes themselves. And well, okay, if it's a site directory where people can install it, this one might be a good choice. I mean, where members can edit their own directory information. This one might be a good choice. That's odd. That's not what I wanted. Directory. They have a great directory plugin. Nope. Okay. They have a great directory plugin, and maybe the answer is, their directory plugin is the answer to this, because this plugin right here is a pretty good business directory plugin that many of my members have used on Thesis. And so if you want sort of baked in functionality for a directory, then I think this is probably a good choice. If you're not familiar with WPMU, you can purchase access to this plugin for $20 a month. You can just purchase it for $20, and then anytime you want to renew it, you can just buy another $20. They So I guess for a directory itself, that's probably not a bad idea. And I don't know of any other directory plugin that really compares to the power of this directory plugin. And it does gel very nicely with Thesis because it creates its own custom post type of a directory, and it has a bunch of its own custom post meta, and then you can use all the tools in Thesis to display that stuff any way you want. So this is probably an excellent choice for a directory. I guess I don't know of a theme that would be good for that. Okay, anybody else? I have no opinion on Templatic as a theme provider. No, that's true. I have no opinion on them one way or the other. The only other two themed folks that I have any opinion on whatsoever is Thematic. This is Ian Stewart is a good developer, and Thematic is an excellent theme. It was the first theme to really incorporate child themes. And then the other one is Justin, what's his name's hybrid theme. And so theme hybrid, I'm a member of Justin's community, and he has a very good. This is a very good, compelling theme system, and his community is huge and is excellent. And so, those are the only other WordPress theme providers that I have any opinion on. So, okay, it doesn't look like there is anybody else who had a question. I'm going to give you one more minute to post another question. And then I think we'll just call it a day. I want to thank everybody for attending, and thank you for your questions. This will be posted on the site next week sometime. And if you watch your inboxes, you'll see an announcement for a seminar on creating a Genesis child theme next week. So everybody have a lovely day, and I look forward to chatting with you all again soon. Bye-bye.